I'm doing great. All right, let's kick this thing off. Kelsi Sheren back in the house. Thank you so much. You're
Hi.
Here? Are you here? Are you here with us?
I'm super here with you. I couldn't be more here with you. I'm here with you from Vancouver, here with you.
Oof, Vancouver. We're going to talk about what the fuck's happening in Canada right now, or not right now, in a little bit. But I wanted to address something. This must be like a pinnacle of your career right now, being on PODDYMOUTH, the podcast, for the second time. Not only just the second time. How, I don't want to just throw this at you, but do you have a speech prepared or anything that,
I mean,
this is a huge moment in your life. I know
it's a moment. I want to thank Spencer for, having me on his show and getting belligerently drunk with me the first time and undoing his pants on my episode. And I want to thank his beautiful wife, Dana, for somehow allowing him to drink the amount of alcohol he does and still parent. I want to thank, pretty much anybody, who listens to PODDYMOUTH, because I think it's a hilarious show and I think it's great. So I'm just happy to be back, man. I'm happy to be here. And it's in the morning. This is a weird vibe for us.
This is so many weird vibes. I do want to address a couple milestones happening. One, this might be the second time I am booze-free for a PMP podcast. So there's that. Yeah. Virtual high five.
Yes.
And then the other thing, well, I should say that things can change. There is a bar cart literally a foot away from me.
Immediately.
So depending on how this podcast go, that can change very, very, very quickly. The other thing is that this is going to be our first satellite podcast. This is crazy. This is me fully jumping in to what Kelsi does on the reg. So
yeah,
dude, cross. We've already hit some fucking technical difficulties, but we're working through it. We're just talking about how technology is supposed to make your life better and easier, but it actually does the opposite most times.
I mean, most times it has its moments of success, when technology kills it and we're able to launch rockets into space. And, there's times when technology really is amazing. There's other times where it's infuriating beyond all get out, and no fault of its own. Listen, most of the time it's user error. Let's be honest with both of ourselves.
True.
Yeah. But I've been telling you,
trying to figure this out,
Yeah, you're going to be great. Listen, I've been telling you, there's sometimes you got to make the change in order to get what you want, to grow to the point where you can fly as many people in as you want. But at the end of the day, one thing that I figured out during COVID is that if I was going to make any show or go on any show during the draconian lockdowns that we were having, I was going to have to make the effort to figure it out. And fortunately, at least we have this ability to even have a conversation and see one another at the same time.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. And just podcasting in general, we've seen some attacks on podcasts, the Joe Rogan Experience and whatnot, but this is pretty much the last place to have any kind of free speech these days, which is bonkers to think about, that we're in 2022 and we're having this discussion. But podcasting, as many podcasts as there are out there, it's the last place in my eyes.
It is. And you're not wrong. I think there's this idea that we should always have free speech. We should always have conversation and be able to, have conversation. But the reality is that's not the truth right now. If anything, it's very far from the truth. It's okay to have conversation if you're saying the right things to the right people on the right platform, but there's always going to be pushback if you are on a different platform, you're discussing different topics that may, I don't say rock the boat, but you just have a different perspective or a different outlook than other people. So there's an attack on free speech, I would say, more than there is an attack on podcasting. There's an attack on anybody who's willing to have a difficult conversation with someone that they may not see eye to eye with. That seems to be it. And I think that's because there's this idea of we want everyone to just be happy. We don't want anyone to feel any stress or an anxiety. And in doing that to society, all that we've really done is cause it to be much, much worse because everyone is afraid to say certain things. Everyone's afraid to have certain conversations. And it's made it very uneasy to just sit and talk to somebody. And it makes it seem like it's impossible, especially if that other somebody maybe leans a different direction than you on any line of topic. Forget even politics. Talk about just family issues, way you raise your kids, type of food you feed your kids. Like trust me, there's places to argue about everything. I don't think that's the right thing to do, though, mind you. I think that's quite silly and immature, if anything.
Yeah, I saw something the other day where it's like people just have too much time on their hands. Like everybody wants to be mad about something, which, man, this is like such a great life we have an opportunity to live, and especially in this day and age, and to always be mad or always to be looking for something to be mad about or angry about or upset about. It's fucking exhausting. I don't know why you live your life like that, but we're seeing it more times than not now, where the minority of those complainers are now becoming the majority. I think now it's starting. There's this huge freedom movement, and again, we're going to talk about the Canadian Freedom Convoy, but there's this huge freedom movement, and I hate that it's taken this long to get here. Where I'm, especially as Americans, where we piss red, white, and blue, and we're freedom this, freedom that, but man, there was a lot of complacency and people were just going along with the crowd for a really, really long time. Like I said, now I feel like there's more of a pushback. There's a lot more people being verbal. I remember when you couldn't do a goddamn thing without a mask on. And now if I see somebody with a mask on, I'm like, okay, why,
It's a little different for you guys, for sure. We're still very much in that realm of if you're not wearing a mask, you're not allowed in the building. We're still very much in that realm of the majority of children in my son's kindergarten class are wearing masks. And it's really troubling. It's quite concerning, especially now with the research that we have and the data to back the science behind the damage that these masks are doing to children. And frankly, I've been pretty open and honest about Jack's when he was younger, he didn't talk for a very, very long time. He spoke very late. And the thing that we did is we took him to a speech therapist. And what we found out was, for him to learn and articulate, he actually needs to mimic your mouth movements for language. And so not only are you seeing just children who might have been diagnosed with something, who are struggling with something, who are really enabled to learn because of the mask barrier, no one's addressing that conversation about the long-term damage it's doing to our children's IQs and ability to have emotional intelligence, the ability to have any sort of de-escalation ability. What's the word I'm looking for? Not de-escalation ability, but the ability to de-escalate a situation because they're emotionally inept. These children, the COVID children, I'm doing little bunny ears if you're just listening, but the COVID generation, those children are seeing an IQ drop that is astronomical. And the thing you're hearing from kindergarten teachers, especially, is these kids have never been socialized. These kids don't even know how to do up their jackets. Like these kids, Jack helps children get dressed to go outside because he's always been in outdoor preschool. He's never missed a moment, never missed a beat. He's only worn a mask. And mind you, it's not a real mask. It's one of the ones that's made to look real. On planes, he's worn those, but we don't make him put one on anywhere he goes because I understand the importance of someone seeing your face. I mean, what you and I do for a living is important that you see our face and our reactions to things. That's why being in person, they say, is like one of the best ways to do podcasts. I mean, I'd argue that because I've only done 90% of mine virtually and it's done just all right. But it's about finding that way and learning how to communicate differently. And it's a barrier. So online is a barrier for most people. Like a mask is a barrier for most children. It's a barrier for grown adults. And what else I've figured out is that masks make people feel like they have autonomy to be a fucking dick, and they don't. And for example, during the protest, there was an individual who carried a sign around that said, "Gas the unvaccinated." And let me explain to you. Number one, if you said that in America, what do you think would have happened, Spencer?
You're getting your shit kicked in, dude.
Right. But because you wore a mask, you've covered your face, meaning we don't know who you are, meaning it's made it very easy for bad actors to come into this protest and insert themselves in a negative way, just like all of the guns they found yesterday, just like all of a sudden you're filming these people in Ottawa walking around with masks on with their heads down who literally walk and talk and smell like a cop. Like, it's hilarious how obvious it is. So the masks are difficult.
The video clip, it was, I can't remember where it was. It might have even been in Canada. I can't remember. It might have been the US. Either way, there was like this big open quad area, and it was like a protest going on, and you could literally spot the undercover cops like a fucking sore thumb. It was hilarious. Mm-hmm. That just reminded me of that. I'm like, dude, you guys aren't even trying. It's hilarious.
No, they're not trying. Listen, when I mean, you're forget Paul. Like, I don't really even, what's really funny now is I don't even catch myself talking about left or right, because at this point it's not left or right. It's really the buck stops with the individual. And so when people ask me what that means, it just means who's in charge. That you have people under you, yes, but the buck stops with you. So for example, yesterday, it's gone viral now, which makes me significantly more happy this morning. It's actually, she went on Fox News, which is crazy. Because so many Canadians don't go on Fox News. It's not really like, it would be CBC or it'd be even CNN, but Fox is like, it's a different. Anyway, my point is, members stood up in Parliament at the House. She was saying her say, because we're very diplomatic. You say, then we sit, we clap, you talk. Speaker goes. It's very, very British of us. And so she stands up and she's having this discussion. Sorry?
Pinky's out and proper.
The only difference is we don't wear the hats. We don't wear the white hats. That's literally the only difference. So she stands up and she's, saying her piece about how it's frankly really disgusting that we are freezing Canadians' bank accounts under the terrorism laws and calling Canadian citizens terrorists. And so she sits down. People clap, do their thing. Prime Minister stands up and then immediately says that this woman supports Nazis. This motherfucker did not do his research, and let me tell you why. God. She stands back up and goes, I am a descendant and a proud Jewish woman from 2 Holocaust survivors. He promptly sits down and walks out.
Fucking beta little bitch, dude.
Because what are you going to say to that?
Yeah. And mind you, why not doing your research, not knowing the person, why would you say something like that? Why would you say you support Nazis? Like, again, it's the whole, not having accountability. It's, whether you're masked or not, it's like that idea of I can say or do whatever the fuck I want right now and not face any consequences. It just blows my mind.
We face consequences in Canada, but they're different than the consequences that would be imposed on you in the United States. So our consequences are not what everyone should just get when they're shitty, is a punch to the face or a hug, because they either need one or the other. And you can genuinely tell which one needs the hug versus the one that's just being a dick. But what we have in Canada is we have a different set of laws where now we can go to prison for saying those things. We now can lose our bank accounts for being associated with someone who might have donated more than $25 to the GoFundMe. We have as Canadians lost our rights. They are putting in the next 24 to 48 hours, they're anticipating the Ottawa police to start cracking down and arresting left, right, and center. They have warned people to move their children out of the protests, which are the only reason these are still going, is the children are welcome and they can't touch anyone with kids around. And so they are now finding any and every way. The military has said no twice. We will not remove them. All of the tow truck drivers have said no, we will not remove them. And then he had the audacity to go into into the Parliament and say, we're gonna lift them out of with helicopters. Let me explain something to you right now. Canada has we have maybe 2 handfuls of super well working Chinooks that could lift and you're not getting them between buildings. So give your fucking head a shake, you lunatic. And if you are getting those in between buildings, these are pilots that are well-trained, that are combat done. These people have seen some shit and can fly in anything. And I doubt those are the people that are going to be willing to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got some questions regarding just Canada in general.
I'm sure I have some answers, Spencer.
I hope you do, because you guys are very confusing, at least for my monkey brain, because you've got prime ministers, but then you've got other leaders.
Premiers.
Then you've got like provinces, correct? Right?
Provinces, not
Okay.
providences, but province.
Okay.
Yep.
How dare you? How dare you correct me on my own podcast?
You are the teacher here in the room. So
PE teacher, big difference.
I know. I love that you always have to be like PE teacher. That's what you should get. You should have a sweat. One of your Sen Butter shirts should say PE teacher.
Former PE teacher.
So then people are like, yeah, but Spencer's a teacher. And he's like,
no. Not the same. Yeah, same but different. But anyway, yeah, so all those things, like I'm very confused how all that breaks down, because I've noticed that as of this morning that I saw, I believe it was Quebec has come out and said we're pretty much detaching ourselves from the emergency mandates that Trudeau has put out. I don't know if you caught that part or not, but
I didn't catch that part yet, but that wouldn't shock me.
No, that literally came out like an hour ago or so.
Quebec.
I noticed other people are coming out and speaking against Trudeau. So again, I'm just wondering how all that is breaking down. Is Trudeau considered like the U.S. president? Is that like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like Biden.
Okay, got it. Okay.
I mean, just younger, but with the same cognitive ability. Just
fair.
saying it. Okay.
Fair
so
enough.
Quebec, as of 2019, had about 8.4 million people in it. And Quebec is our French-speaking side of the country. It's the side that has always really wanted to separate from Canada. They've actually voted several times, and I think they only got to about 46%. But they have 46% of that province saying we don't want to be a part of Canada any longer.
Oh, wow.
So there's always, they've actively in recent times attempted to separate from the country and become its own country, because they do their schooling system differently. They do this thing called Cégep, which is you do elementary school, high school, Cégep for 2 years, and then you can go to a university or a college. And it's just a little, I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it works. It's been a minute since I've lived there. So, but I'm pretty sure that's Cégep is definitely there. So they do that differently. The way they are is they're very different than the rest of Canada in the sense that they yes, they do speak another language. But if you go, say, from Gatineau, which is on the border of Ottawa, which is, it's literally a tiny bridge, and you're in Quebec. If you go to Gatineau and you drive to Montreal, you're still going to get a heavily spoken English spoken language kind of going on there. You'll get French as well, but you'll get more English. Once you get to Montreal, you're going to get your mix. Once you pass Montreal, you're going into French land. Like you're going into like, I'm not speaking English to you. Some people I knew that lived up North Quebec City did not even know how to speak English.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's very different.
That's really interesting. I had no idea. I knew at some point in time where you pass a certain border in Canada, you're speaking French now. I didn't know it was the Quebec side of things.
Yeah, Quebec is the French speaking. And then once you cross from Quebec to New Brunswick, that is also where you get a different type of French. It's called Acadian French. It's really rough, very like more, I consider it to be more like Viking French. It's like really rough and like it I don't understand it. And the example I have is one individual that I served with, Bombardier Chef Robichaud, Master Bombardier Robichaud.
That was impressive.
Yeah, well, I have my moments. Listen. And he was this like maybe between like 5'11" and 6 foot. I'm bad at height because I'm only 5 foot. So everybody feels really big to me. He's in this huge, big dude, but he very soft spoken. But when he spoke is very rough Acadian French. And I couldn't make it out at all. So You get that. So you get Quebec, New Brunswick, and you get your French speaking. There's English in New Brunswick. It's not a French province. Quebec is a French province. New Brunswick is not. It does have, like I said, a predominant amount of Acadian French in there. And then once you go further out, then you kind of get your more Newfoundland, your PEI, your super East Coast, like your real Yeah. And you get the, like, I can't even do the accent. It's so thick. Because it'd be doing it a disservice, because I love it. It's one of my favorite, but it's so Canadian. It's kind of like Letterkenny level Canadian.
Oh man.
It's Trailer Park Boys Canadian, Bubbles accent deal. Oh, like just that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that's the
stereotypical making fun of a Canadian. That's that
East Coast.
Yeah.
East Coast hard. Then you kind of get when you move out to the provinces, you get a kind of a thicker accent again, but it's like, it's hard to even articulate what it sounds like. It's just it's just true Canadian. You get your Alberta, which is like your Texas of Canada. So that accent is there. And then you come out to BC, and then you kind of get everything in BC. You get a lot of Mandarin, like the friends of mine, legitimately, like Asian friends call it Vancouver. I'm not kidding. Like, it's because there's so much. We have a high propensity of Asian population moving over, so much so that we actually have a separate tax for individuals from Asia who buy property in British Columbia. They get a 15% property tax on top of other taxes, because there's so much money coming in from Asia into Vancouver that they drop it, buy property, and then just fuck off and leave the houses empty for about 6 to 7 months. And we were running into some arson issues and some stuff out here. So they enacted like a separate tax for that.
Interesting. All right. So a couple things to unpack here. One, I do want to mention that when you said Alberta was like the Texas of California,
of America.
I actually, when I was like 15, went to Canada, and I went to a rodeo in Alberta. So there you go, right there. Yeah. As soon as you said that, I'm like, oh fuck, that makes total sense now. Mm-hmm. So where's like in Canada, we're just like looking at Canada, in your opinion, where's like the places you'd want to be, as far as like mindset, and ideology that we both share? Like, where's like the spots in Canada where you would want to be at?
Not where I'm living.
All right, there you go.
Listen, the reason I live where I live is I live in one of the most landscape wise, one of the most beautiful places in the world to live. I'm a dick that way. I'll say it. It's true. That being said, we're also in Canada, we are the number 6th most, how does it worded? The number 6th most prescribed antidepressants. So I don't really know how much I believe of like Canada is one of the best places to live. It is. It really is. But you move to the inner provinces, you go Alberta, Manitoba, things like that. I love Alberta. In terms of a lifestyle and the way that they're currently running their province, and in terms of how they stand with a lot of certain things, they're the beef farmers, they're the dairy farmers, they're the salt of the earth, hardworking. I went and spoke at Lethbridge College, and it's, you should see their department for just working on agriculture. It's a different place there. Mm-hmm. It reminds me very much of going to Texas. I love it there. That being said, I don't love where it's placed in Canada. They get down to -40. It's still snowing there. Again, I live in BC. And so for me, my winters, if I want snow, I go up to the mountains. We don't really get much. It gets a little cold, but it doesn't get crazy enough that I can still go into the ocean in the winter and not be like floating chunks of ice. I live here because I have the ocean right beside me. I have the mountains in Whistler 2 hours from me. I have an incredible family here, and I have companies here. So that's why I live where I live, but it doesn't mean that's where I want to live. I don't want to live here at all, frankly, but I would miss the mountains and I would miss the ocean for sure.
Now, do you have dual citizenship in the US as well? Or
no? So that's an issue for me. So my husband's side of the family, his dad's side, they're American. And so they were American. His parents lived in America and all that. They had the dual citizenship. My father-in-law didn't renew it, which meant my husband couldn't, which means I can't. But, there's definitely ways to still become a dual citizen. Because we own companies, we're way more welcome into your country than an everyday person is. We bring money and taxes, so they love that. But, for the most part, the idea of moving to the States, I have no issue with it. I have no issue with moving to the States. I would love somewhere like Colorado. The mountains are still there. The water's, I would love Texas. I would love any like Wyoming, Montana. That's my speed. That's definitely my speed.
I can give you some intel on those places you mentioned. Colorado, depending on where you are, is just another California. So you might want to axe that off your list.
It's so pretty though. What about Utah?
Oh, it's gorgeous. California. I am a California native, born and raised, and I talk probably the most shit about California.
Right.
And that's hard to do because everybody talks shit about California. But we have I'll go toe to toe with pretty much any other state when it comes to public lands. We have some of the best, most beautiful public lands imaginable out here. But again, it comes down to politics where,
taxes and money
through the roof, your living wages through the roof. Politics are absolutely terrible here. But again, you lived out here, you can be in sand, you can be in mud, you can be on the top of the mountain, you can be in an ocean, you can be at a lake, all within an hour, a couple hours, whatever it is. You can find pretty much anything you'd want to do out here, which again, and the weather, I understand, it is good weather pretty much 24/7 out here. It's such a shame seeing what the politics have done to this great state, because it's really, again, a person who I'm in this crossroad where, my wife and I work 100% remotely, so we can go wherever the fuck we want. But
what are you doing then?
Well, that's the thing. So I only have my dad. My mom passed away a couple of years ago. Never had any brothers or sisters, which probably people learning that makes a whole lot of sense of who I am now. But
it doesn't matter though, right? My brother lives in another province that,
I get it. But meaning, I can go, even though in the back of my head, I'm like, man, I love California so much, born and raised, like this is such a beautiful state. I would have a hard time, truly in my heart, I would have a hard time leaving, although I do know we go anywhere else, we'll be totally fine. My wife, on the other hand, all of her family is here. She's got a bigger family. They're all here for the most part. And, both of her brothers were in the Army. And so they were all over the place always. And now they're all out. Everyone's working. Everyone's here. And so it's like, of course, the time where I want to bail is the time when everybody in her family is like within like an hour or so from each other. It's a tough sell.
There's definitely something to be said about being close to your family. And I can respect that and want that and know what that, that help and support feels like, being able, especially with little ones. Like I can respect that. That being said, the amount of taxes you guys pay is kind of astronomical and is robbery. So the idea of that would be enough for me, only because I moved out when I was 17. My parents are truck drivers. I understand what distance is. I know what that looks like to live far from people for a long period of time. And I'm frankly okay with that. It doesn't mean I love anybody any less, or it doesn't mean that I care any less, but I've always known that about me, is I'm a little more of I will go against pretty much everything that my family does. Like they want to settle in one space that I grew up in. That makes me have heart palpitations. It stresses me out, the idea of that, because I don't even live in a city and I'm not a city person. It's not that I need to be near a city or anything. I just need space, which I don't have now. I mean, I have space, but I live in a cul-de-sac, so I'm in a fishbowl. And that to me also gives me heart palpitations. It was great before built up, but now it's built up. And in my opinion, it's time to look at moving, and whether that means, to the United States or just somewhere else in the province. We've had conversation, but really right now, the longer discussion, has been, if we were to get up and move to the United States, I mean, you guys are not any better than us right now. The only difference is you don't have people knocking on your, the White House door like we do. You guys are just catching on to some of this. And I think it's because, in my personal opinion, and this could be completely off the mark, so feel free to let me know what your thoughts are on this, but I do truly feel like the reason that the United States hasn't started doing what Canada is doing, like so many other countries have followed suit, like New Zealand and Australia have, and Italy with their trucks and the mandates, is I really believe it's because your media has done such a brilliant job of distracting the United States people with this Russia and Ukraine situation that they are so focused on a potential World War III here that they're forgetting that they're slowly having everything taken away from them bit by bit. And so the distraction method, look over here while we do this over here, we've just caught on to it because unfortunately, Canadians have really, took the bait early on. We're not a people that push back on too many things. And we have done a really good job of just saying, please, sir, can I have some more? And just keep taking it and taking it and taking it. And it's shocking that it's got to this point where, damn right, you have pissed off the majority of the country when you've got individuals who work almost paycheck to paycheck, who are willing to go, fuck this, I'm sitting my truck. I don't care if I have any money. I don't care if I have any food. I don't care what happens to my family because this needs to stop and it needs to stop now.
No, it's so well said. And you couldn't have said it any better. Our mainstream media, oh my God, it's like CNN. Every day something comes out on CNN that somebody's resigning because of so-and-so scandal. It's been crumbling by the day, which I love to see. But the fact that a lot of people still eat that shit up.
Oh yeah.
Blows my mind. I can't.
And they don't eat it up, Spencer. They lick the plate and then they throw the plate at your forehead for you not wanting to feed into it.
Yeah.
I had, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to reiterate, you're right, that they really have done a phenomenal job of distraction. As soon as something comes up, like this whole thing that happened with Hillary Clinton, right? It's been fully exposed now.
That's gnarly, by the way. Can you see how big my eyes are? Because if you're not, you should watch it because that report, and they're just like, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So, Clinton is again getting busted for, pretty much doing an illegal probe on Trump's campaign, I believe it was, or phone calls of something, doing something illegal to Trump's campaign. And they're literally just like, Ukraine, World War III, like just doing their damnedest to like, don't look over here, look over there. Like it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
It's troubling how effective they are at it. I think the thing that you're seeing happen here that's really affecting people is you're seeing individuals who have lived through the generation where they didn't have the news, and the news to them came out when they were young. And so they were taught, like, we believe the news, like the news is something we always trust. This is something that they've never lied to us before. We've always gotten, every day we wake up, we turn the news on and we find out what's going on around the world, and it helps keep us connected. And that's what the news was 20 years ago. That's what the news was. It truly was. I believe they didn't start off to be negative or to cause destruction or malice. I really believe in my heart that when they started it, they're like, we can pump out information. This was an information tool to spread awareness of what's going on in the world. At some point, and I don't know where it was, because again, I'm just talking here. I'm not super educated on this, but at some point there was a moment where somebody said, well, we can use this a little bit differently. And when we look at how people are being fed information over the past 20 years, there's a clear line being drawn in the sand, whether it be with network or political, but it's each network now seems to represent a side. And that's troubling to me because the way it started is the way that it should have continued, which is, unapologetic, whether you're left or right. This is just unfiltered, just true news reporting. And I mean, you get that with Glenn Greenwald, you get that with Matt Taibbi, you get all these individuals who are out there speaking the truth, and you can trust what they're saying. I mean, they're having their lives threatened. Like people come after those people for a reason, but when you go and you turn on something like Don Lemon, or you turn on even what's a super right wing like Tucker Carlson, for example, neither of them are going to be giving you the full truth. They're all going to be giving you whatever they believe the truth is. And the fact of the matter is people eat, sleep, and breathe the news. I used to be one of them. Before the military, I watched the news. After the military, especially during GWA still going on, I watched the news. Mm-hmm. And that's because I felt like I needed to be informed. But I didn't realize that it wasn't actually informing me. It was
brainwashing.
It was brainwashing me. It was damaging me. It was making me unhealthy. It was making me struggle with how I was feeling every day. It would give me paranoia and anxiety on top of the stuff that I accumulated on deployment. I mean, it's not healthy. And I preach this to people so many times, and it's not because I'm like, don't watch the news because mainstream media is bullshit. It's don't watch the news because do yourself a favor. If you really love watching the news and you believe that it's fine and that they're doing the right things. Okay. So then what I ask of you then is not say, oh, fuck it. How can you not believe that? I say, okay, go 1 week where you don't watch any news. I want you to go 1 week. And throughout that week, when you would have normally watched the news, I want you to journal for 5 minutes, just about your life, how you're feeling, how you feel that how you feel when you haven't watched the news. Has your mood gotten better? Has your lifestyle gotten better? Have you slept better? Has your anxiety gone down? And then go back to watch the news for a week and then journal. And I want you to compare. And guess what? That's all you need. You don't need me to sit here and preach to you that it's not healthy. Do it yourself. Show yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's spot on. There's no way you turning off the news is going to like negatively affect your life. You know what I mean? Like it's meant there to feed you agenda, where it's the right or left, doesn't matter. I don't care what you say. They're feeding you some kind of agenda. Yep. And they're trying to essentially brainwash you to think this way, only this way. And if you think differently than this, then you're a piece of shit.
Right.
And then you're the person who's holding up the sign that says gas the unvaxxed. Then you're that person. Or you're that
it's gross.
So scared, so terrified to leave their house because you're telling them that if soon as you step out of your house, the boogeyman, aka COVID-19, is going to kill you. It's going to kill your family. It's going to kill everything around you that you love. So stay isolated, stay unhealthy. We're going to help you. We're here to help you. Like, don't worry about anything. Big big pharma, mainstream media. We all got your back, which is absolute fucking horseshit that I think a lot of us now are fully aware of. At least I hope.
Well, I mean, I think some are fully aware because listen, I had an incident a couple weeks ago, and this is how I knew we were not fully aware, right? This is how I knew. But then again, I live in I say this in this is not a brag. This is not like, but I'm trying to give the listeners like an idea of where I live. I live in a very affluent area of individuals. It was an older area in British Columbia that had a lot of money very like early on. And now it's kind of like the young up and coming area. If you're not in the city to where you raise your family, it's very suburbia. It's very like, 1.5 kids and like the whole deal and the picket fence. That's where I live. And so to give you an idea, I went to a coffee shop. One of my favorite coffee shops. Okay. They're located about 30, 40 minutes from my house. I drive to it every Saturday because I love them and the way they are. I just love their people there, right? I'll make the drive. Go every Saturday. I go a couple weeks ago by myself. I walk in, I'm standing there. For them, I won't lie. I put a mask on for them because I don't need them yelled at because I genuinely care about those people. And when I say put a mask on, I mean, I kind of like hang it off my face predominantly. And it's just so that I don't get fucking yelled at. Cause frankly, I am tired of being the one where, because I don't know if I don't have the resting bitch face enough any longer, or I've just softened up, or I give off this energy. Like, it's okay for you to verbally and physically attack me. I'm not threatening at all. So I think I've given that off for a little bit too long. And so at this point, I'm like, I don't need any person talking to me because they're going to get a reaction out of me. That's not going to be because of anything they did. It's going to be a reaction to them thinking it's acceptable to tell me what the fuck to do with my body. And I don't need that, right? I don't need the camera to come out and Kelsi Sheren told off. Like, I don't need it. We don't need that in life, right? So I walk in, I do my thing. And then, at some point I've kind of realized like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I take the mask off, I put it in my pocket. I'm standing there drinking my coffee. I'm like, This is my line. That was my line in the sand day, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm standing and this gentleman walks up. Let me preface this. 6 foot, skinny dude, white dude, Lululemons, Balenciaga. What the fuck are those shoes that are worth like $2,000? Yeah, Balenciaga. What are those shoes called? They start with a B.
I wear Vans and I've worn Vans for my entire
Balenciaga.
life.
Yeah, I said that right the first time. Balenciaga. Shut up. Balenciaga shoes. So anyway, my point is like these can pay someone's like
beta. Yeah, is what you're saying.
Yeah, vain, super vain. And I hear him say to the barista, she goes, well, just make sure, if you're sitting down, we've checked your vax paperwork. And he goes, oh, honey, don't worry. I'm triple vaxxed. Like it was a brag. And I had a moment where I was standing there and I had one of those moments where, when you think you're talking in your head, but then it's out of your face. So I turned my head around and of course I have to be wearing one of the days I'm wearing like head to toe camo with my fanny pack. And I just look like I'm ready for war already. And I go, did you, I laughed. I went, did you just brag about being triple vaccinated? And he goes, literally didn't miss a beat, whipped his head around and goes, let me guess, you're one of the dirty unvaccinated people.
Oh my God.
And I went, no, that's not true. Like that. I don't know. I said that right there proves my point. That proves my point right there. And he goes, well, let me guess, you promote, this was right when the trucker mandate popped, like the trucker protest popped off. Like, I think it was the Saturday. So it was the day before the BC truckers just left. And he's like, let me guess, you support that trucker movement. And they said, let me tell you something right now. I said, I grew up with 2 parents who are long haul truck drivers. They're not participating in this, but I will tell you something right now. You and this country has pissed off the wrong people. If it's gotten to the point when truck drivers have said enough. And the fact that you think that's okay tells me one of 2 things. You've either never left this country or you've never been to a third world one or even a first world one where your rights don't exist. Have you? And he looked at me and he goes, what are you talking about? Like the Middle East? And I was like, let's just start with the Middle East. Have you been there? And he goes, well, and I said, the Dubai doesn't count there, homie. So like, let's try this again. And I said, have you been to Asia? Yeah, I've been to Japan. And I said, again, Japan does not count. Yeah. Have you been to China where if you don't have a Chinese bank account that you cannot access money to pay for food? Because I have. When I was there last time, we found out that guess what? We couldn't pay for anything. So don't sit there and tell me that if you were to say something negative and the person in your family reported it, that you would be fine. Because that's what Canada is. But if you go to China and somebody's talking shit about the government and they report it, your family, your extended family, they're going to a fucking labor camp for life. Like, this is not a conversation you and I can have. And I said, I'm more than willing to have it with you, but it's very, very clear that you've done nothing but watch global news, CTV, CBC, and everyone else. And you are unwilling to see the fact that anyone is struggling. And let me guess, you probably haven't lost your job. You probably haven't lost your home. You probably have been fined to follow every fucking mandate possible. That's great. Cool. Good on you. But how dare you look down on people who have had no money, no food, lost their homes, lost their family members, lost support systems, and have the nerve to call them dirty unvaccinated. Yeah. You want to know how the Holocaust happened? This is how it happened. It started with individuals like you who are fucking out to lunch, who just listen to manipulated data that's fed to you and think it's acceptable and now are unwilling to see another person as a human being. You're gross, you're disgusting, and there is no reason that you and I can continue to have this conversation. I got into my Tesla like a dickhead with my veteran plates and pulled away. So fuck all the way off.
Fuck yes. That's awesome. That was a great rant, by the way. That was grade A top shelf rant right there. That was good shit.
Well, because we can no longer, and the fact that we ever started, see any other human being but ourselves in them. We cannot talk to people like they're less than. We need to hear their struggles. We need to hear what's going on so that we can understand why people are acting this way. But at no point is it acceptable to say things like the dirty unvaccinated, the gas the unvaccinated. That, my friend, is how the Holocaust happens again.
And I love that because, you know, I remember when that slogan really came out during all this was like, this is how the Holocaust started, right? And which is true. This is how it started. But I love that months ago when that came out, people were like, okay, that's dramatic.
Is it?
Is it? No, it's fucking not. Open your goddamn eyes. It's unreal.
Well, it's not even that though, Spencer. It's also the reason it's not dramatic or overblown or anything like that. If individuals don't understand what goes on in China on a regular basis, they have 12,000 concentration camps that are active at pretty much any point. And these are labor camps. I'm quoting again. These are labor camps where people who don't, if they've spoken ill against the government, if a family member has spoken ill against the government, if somebody hasn't paid a debt, if somebody got caught stealing something, they don't go to prison, that individual. They go, their cousins go, their aunts and uncles go, their grandparents go. And more than often, multiple generations of any children born are born into there and stay there because they understand that it is, if you're going to influence or damage or affect the way someone thinks, you're going to do it so it affects everyone around them so that they then put pressure on you to act accordingly. Well, guess what? It's happening.
Yeah. It's happening.
It's happening.
And that's a great line to draw there where like China tries to do the opposite of that, right? They're like, oh, this person's stepping out of line because if they know if other people have this viewpoint, right? It's the gang mentality. This person's going to grow. It's going to grow. It's going to multiply. And then before they know it, the Chinese government, let's say, is on the other end now where they're sitting around looking, oh, fuck, nobody's behind us anymore. Everybody's pissed off at us. So they got to do what they're doing right now and what Trudeau is trying to do, which he's failing miserably at now, thank God. But he's trying to like just start axing people who had, you know, a different opinion. So that gang mentality didn't grow, but too bad, Chuck. It's over.
Well, you say too bad, but not quite, because it is still working. And I'll tell you why. In Canada, the way that our new laws have been written in, they have now made anybody who donated to the GoFundMe over $25 is having their bank accounts threatened to be frozen and deemed a terrorist under providing funding to terrorist organizations, which frankly that's disgusting. Let me tell you how difficult it is for the United States to do that to someone. There was an individual, I believe it was Jihadi John or an American who went over and was responsible for cutting off the heads of American journalists. The United States could not go and touch that person, even though they were an American, because they were an American citizen. Canada and our government have launched an attack on its own citizens within its own country. And not only have they not been terrorists, not only have they not been funding terrorist organizations, they have done the opposite. I've personally been involved in these protests. I have been to them. There are bouncy castles. Yeah. There are fucking hockey going on. There is more people. They're feeding the homeless.
Hey, I'm reporting somebody brought Connect 4. Like, what the fuck? They call that a terrorist organization or like violent acts. Dude, like, shut the fuck up, dude.
It's infuriating because there's children that are out there because they understand that they should be able to go to school without masks. They should be able to make choices and see their parents. They should be able to feel safe. The thing that's the biggest issue here is take adults out of this for 2.5 seconds. Say fuck most of society for 2.5 seconds. Like legitimately, let's just play that game. Let's look at the kids. Let's look at these kids under the age of, I'm calling them 18 and under because that's children. In my eyes, it is children. So let's look at what we've done. We've segregated them. We've taught them it's okay to hate somebody else if they choose not to wear a piece of fabric on their face. We've taught it's okay to hate and discriminate and segregate children based off of something their parents forced them to take. Let's talk about the IQ drops. Let's talk about the studies from Stanford and Yale, where we are showing long-term damage that we will not be able to articulate or really even see for 10 years. Let's talk about the amount of children who have suffered not only because of masks and vaccines. Let's talk about how their parents' psychological and the the inability for their parents to hold their shit together has caused them to give their children so much fear and so much hatred, and let their kids think it's acceptable to be fearful and hateful towards other people because of their fears. So our government has done a brilliant job. Left, right, or center has done a brilliant job, coupled with the media in Canada, which, by the way, I do know are very much paid by the liberal government. I'm not talking, if it was the conservatives in, they'd be having the same conversation with the media. But right now we have Trudeau. So I do know for a fact, because they have canceled interviews, and journalists have told me on the phone, especially during the Afghan pullout, we have been told to no longer speak about this because of the government has told us and asked us to not. So when the government can have direct influence on anything that comes out,
tells you everything.
So forget parents, forget adults. Yeah, maybe some of us will move through this, but a lot of us won't, because the suicide epidemic's up 900% in Canada. So obviously this is affecting parents. And if it's affecting parents, it's affecting the next generation, because you and I both know how you act, the way you speak, the energy you bring into a room near a child, they pick it up like a magnet.
Absolutely.
So we're giving anxiety. We're making big pharma ready for the next generation of antidepressant users and Xanax users like you have never, ever seen.
Oh, I mean, what's the best business plan? Returning customers, right? We need you weak. We need you dependent. We need you so unwell that you need to just suckle on our teat for the rest of your life, dude.
Right. Yeah.
And again, we laugh because I used to be a teacher, parentheses. PE teacher. But same thing. I would see these asshole kids, and then I would meet their parents. I'm like, oh, makes perfect sense now. Got it.
Makes all the sense. Got it. Yeah, your parents' dick. Your parents want to
you
shitty humans.
Your parents be absolute fuckheads for God knows how long, and they made it acceptable. It's the same thing that's happening right now. It's the same fucking.
It is, and I wish people were stronger. I wish people would take a minute just to stop and read a couple papers. But I know that's not reality, and I can't expect everyone else to think the way I think and move and feel the way I feel. But what I can expect from them, and I think it's acceptable to ask, is do fucking better. If not for you, but for these kids. This isn't a left or right issue. We have now psychologically damaged, and the CDC and who else was it? The CDC and one other organization came out and stated, just a small, barely accredited university called Johns Hopkins. It's just small.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. They came out with a study showing that these masks are not helpful. They are damaging beyond all get out. And the thing that bothers me the most is everyone wants to preach the science, whatever. You want to say that, go for it. But then why aren't we listening when it comes to our children? That's what irks me. I can deal with me. I can deal with the mental health of those around me. But what I can't deal with is a small child so afraid to go to school because he's afraid of getting sick with something he has no reason to be afraid of. And then you see the government's flip-flop now where they say we should be vaccinating children under the age of 5. And this was, months ago. But then you get studies out of Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Germany, going, this shit is so dangerous for kids, it will make your head spin. Yeah. And then you've got the CEO of Pfizer going on Lex Friedman saying, it's fine. And Lex going, I guess it's fine then.
Yeah.
Cool, Lex.
It's
not fine. It's not fine for kids. It's not. It never has been and it never will be. That's why the research has come out and shown what it has on their phase 3 trial when the one child now is wheelchair bound because of it for the rest of her fucking life.
Yeah. And what's so wild to me about all of that is all the things that you just listed off, we've been saying since day fucking one. Where in again, PE teacher, not the fucking sharpest tool in the shed here, okay? I'm telling you right now, when all this shit was coming out, I'm like, is nobody else seeing straight through this bullshit? No. I felt like a lot of this was like common sense shit, where I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to I'm going to let you guys work out the kinks on that. And if it's, again, haven't had a flu shot since I was like fucking 4 years old. I don't go to the doctor. I don't go to hospitals unless it's really, really fucking bad news. Like this is not, and again, on the flip side, there's other people who are like, I felt something in my chest, I'm going, or my ankle hurts. Oh, it means I have cancer. What, it's like, it's like hypochondriacs, like, and that's the flip side of that, where they always go to the hospital. They always have to go see a doctor, all those things. That's just not who I am. But it just blows my mind that so many people just were like, oh, okay, so we don't really know any long-term effects. Fuck it, throw it right here. It's just like, what?
Fear is
put a mask on. Oh, okay, sure, why not? What is it doing to the kids? We don't know yet. Even though we all know that's not going to fucking do anything good for them. It's not going to do anything good for them. The fact that there's kids out there who literally don't know what it's like. You were saying that with Jack, like the kids that don't know what it's like to like not have a mask on. They like were born and then a couple of years later they've got a mask on. Like they don't know any different. It was just so crazy. So crazy.
And fear is the number one motivator to make anyone change behavior, right? Fear is the way that you get people to change and adapt quickly. The ways that you get someone to change in a positive way, they take too long. They're too healthy, right? Educating somebody about taking vitamin D and zinc and vitamin C and being outside and maybe doing what. But no, right? Yeah, I'm super conspiracy theorist based. That's me, right? That's Kelsi Sheren,
like
super conspiracy based.
With any kind of like actual knowledge of something, it's like nope. Holistics, how dare you? Natural immunity, nope. Don't even go there. You fucking psycho white supremacist conspiracy theorists. Like those were all the things that are now finally coming out. That again. I'm like 2 years ago, like, yeah, this is pretty common sense stuff I thought we're talking about here. Yet you'd get banned off of Twitter for saying it 2 years ago. Now they're coming out and seeing it. It's like, what?
In Canada, the laws have changed under our cyber, I think it's section, I talked about this on another show I did, but I think it was like section Bill C10 or Bill C13. I can't remember exactly which one, but there was new cyber laws put in there. So I can be, for speaking the way I am, I can be jailed.
Yeah.
So the idea of people saying, oh, I'm shadow banned, and most people aren't shadow banned. Most people just, they think they're shadow banned because they said one or two shitty things with a couple hundred followers. And then they're like, oh, I'm not getting engagement. It's like, are you though? So for me, we found out very, very quickly that the second I started speaking very critically of the Canadian government on other larger podcasts, coming back to do mine, dude, we're affected. Mm-hmm. We're affected. The show's affected. The brand's affected. The website's affected. The Instagram's affected. The Twitter's affected. The only thing that's not affected is Getter. Yeah. So, it's affected. And because Canada's laws are very, very different, they can censor us. They can put us in jail for speaking the way we're speaking. Kid Carson just lost his job, who's a massive radio host up here in Canada, really great individual, just lost his job as well. And now his podcast is number 2 in Canada. So, I mean, it's because people are craving honest, open conversation. They're craving not conspiracy theories. They're craving honest and open conversation. But in Canada, we can be put in prison for that now.
So crazy.
Yeah, it's concerning.
Trudeau has come out publicly and said how much he
admires
the pretty much communism. He admires what China's done, that and the other. It's like, Jesus Christ. I want to get off this topic to some more lighthearted stuff, but I did hit
me with it, homie.
I did a little digging, and there's a homeboy, Klaus Schwab. You're familiar with this guy?
No.
Oh, fuck. God damn it. I wanted to get off this, but so basically Klaus Schwab is a German engineer, and
love
he's
that name.
Founder and chairman of the WEF, the World Economic Forum.
Okay.
And basically I'm going to so the WEF meets annually in Switzerland, and it's like elite
ironic
politicians, government official, like pretty much elites. Just think a bunch of people who are elitists. They meet once a year in this in Switzerland for this forum, and basically what they're saying. And I saw a couple of videos on this. We can throw our tinfoil hats on, but they're basically saying that like Trudeau is the puppet of this man, Klaus Schwab. And because he's a part of this, I'm trying to find the name of it. It's like the young, it's called like, oh, there it is, Young Global Leaders. All right. So it's a Young Global Leaders program, and Trudeau is a part of it. And so
no one's shocked.
Basically is that Klaus is pretty much the puppet master of Trudeau right now. And Trudeau is running out of cards to play here because he doesn't want to get, spanked by this guy, Klaus. And that's why he's pulled this out of nowhere, which everybody can see that this is absolute garbage that you're pulling this emergency mandate. I believe that's what you guys called it, or emergency.
The Emergency Act. Yes.
And so everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, this isn't terrorism. This isn't like an emergency. This is crazy. So people are saying that Klaus is pretty much telling him like, this is your last card to play before shit really gets out of hand. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I tried to do a really quick snippet of that. But basically there's a lot of videos out there, call it conspiracy theorists, call it whatever the fuck you want, but just go like listen or read up on it. It's a little interesting. A
little dicey, is it?
Yeah. But
it doesn't shock me.
Yeah, no. Again, once you watch some of these videos that I watched, you're like, okay, that everything's making a little bit more sense here. Got it.
Well, it's wild to me because there's a hot mic situation that happened in Ontario with the premier there with Doug Ford, which was just brilliant. It's just, listen, he talked a lot of shit about like, we're not changing. We're holding the line. And then I think that day there was a hot mic call released where he was like, don't worry, we're ending vax passports at this date. Like, and then he came out this week and was like, oh, the, what are they called? The midterms are coming out. Everybody's changing tune.
Yeah. Well, that's a running joke that we're doing right now with out here in the States. It's like, oh, just magically all these mandates and vax cards and all this shit is disappearing because, well, midterm elections are up and we want you guys to forget how shitty we've been for the last 2 years. But now we're your friend again. Like it's unreal. And that's why I'm like, please, for the love of God, these people that were waking up, stay awake. Stay awake. Well, don't fall for the bullshit. Don't fall.
We can hope.
But anyway, I want to switch something. I want to switch gears to something that you and I, something new to me, something that I know you've been doing for a while, is microdosing. So you and I both have had pretty traumatic head injuries. Memory's tough, anxiety's tough, depression's tough. And I have been on this like quest for the last probably 6 months to try to find any holistic, air quote, holistic ways to keep my mind sharp. Because I know as soon as your mind goes, it's over. Your body can go, right? We all have our aches and pains. We all probably don't move as fast as we used to, or recover as quickly as we used to. But as soon as your mind goes, then it's over. And so I'm really, truly trying to find different things that have worked. And I've been super into cold plunges. I don't know if you've ever jumped into that rabbit hole.
I go down to the ocean and I get naked and I like do like a weird, I'm like, listen, I'm every woo-woo thing you're talking about. Just know that just picture me naked with a drum, with a fire. That's the level I get to.
Drawing stick figures on a mountainside, on a rock. Yeah, that's you for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to talk about microdosing for a little bit because I know this is something that you're super passionate about. Well, you and I talked about this on your, and again, I did a really bad job of introducing you because you're my friend, and I just, I assume everybody knows that you are, everybody knows who you are, but you've got a great brand of Brass and Unity, and you do a lot of amazing things, and I do want you to talk about that. But one of the things that you really do a great job of, you do your mental health Mondays on your Instagram on Brass and Unity. And if you could just jump in and just talk a little bit about that, and then we can kind of spiral into, the cold plunges, the microdosing, and things that kind of take place after that.
Yeah. So no, for me, honestly, Brass and Unity was just a means to an end. It's a vehicle to put the money in the hands of the charities we work with. That's kind of what I've always done. We make jewelry and sunglasses out of bullets, and then we work with organizations to, prevent suicide, to give mental health support, whatever the organization is needing. That's kind of what we do. But kind of speaking on the psychedelic side of things, I jumped into psychedelics a couple of years ago now, be almost 2 years, year and a half now. And that was really fortunately because I had a good friend who knew what he was doing, and it came to that and introduced me to Heroic Hearts Project, which is run by founder Jesse Gould, Army Ranger. And he saw the need for individuals to heal from PTS and those ailments. And so, he introduced me to ayahuasca. And that's when I became, I changed completely. I did a 180 in who I was and how I think and how I react and everything like that. And then, I'm really one of those vets that's treatment resistant, meaning I've tried all different pharmaceutical medications. None of them did the trick. None of them worked. And I switched to cannabis about 6 years ago. I became an advocate for that and using that all throughout pregnancy and, the incredible results that it gave me and relief it gave me. And then recently moving into the psychedelic field, like so many, but really using it for my healing first, and then having my own experiences with it, and then allowing myself to move through it. So moving into psilocybin, which was microdosing psilocybin, doing hero doses as well, and using them in a therapeutic setting. And for me, that's most comfortable is a shamanistic setting, because set and setting are 100% one of the most important things you can do when you're dabbling in any sort of psychedelic. Set and setting are key and are the reasons why people have bad trips, good trips, come out of it with a great experience with healing, or come out of it with a little more of a shook look on their face. So yes, psychedelics are a big, really big part of my life, very important part of my life, something that I believe truly helped pull me out of the darkness, and something I will always be very, very, very grateful for and be very respectful of.
Yeah, no, and that's so funny. I've told this story now probably dozens of times, but when I first started microdosing, I took one empty stomach, didn't really feel anything. I took one on a full stomach, didn't feel anything. Took one, waited a couple of days, took one on empty stomach. I'm like, I don't know, I couldn't really tell a whole difference. And then I took two on an empty stomach, and I was like, oh fuck, okay, now I see what guys are talking about. I see what you guys are talking about here. And it was so funny because we have a mutual friend, Nikki Selby. She's been on the podcast a couple of times. I'm waiting for her to be on your podcast, but
just got to get her a date. That's what we're at now.
Good. She's a hoot. She's great. She's a veteran and she's a nurse. And I mean, if you want to hear anybody, or if you want to have anybody talk about all the bullshit that's happening with COVID and like working for the government and stuff, she's like the perfect person, because she's done both of them in both settings, right? In health and in the military. But anyway, she and I were driving out to go shoot our bows, and like out of nowhere, like just the colors just got so fucking vibrant while I was driving. Like the green was just so green and the blues were just so blue. And I didn't tell her while I was driving, but when we finally got to her spot, she's like, "What?" And I was like, "It's not like I'm tripping balls. It's not like there's a unicorn over there or anything like that, But I just remember like my mood, like immediately, just every worry just kind of washed away. Again, like the colors were very vibrant for me. I haven't really noticed the color vibrant now that I'm taking it more on a regular basis. I haven't really noticed that as much, but my mood shifted tremendously. And my focus was just like to a razor. It was so sharp. And man, I'm almost mad that it took me so long to get to this point, because I have been struggling a lot with, cognitive abilities. Like early on, I was thrown on, ADHD medicine, ADD medicine growing up. And yeah, it helped because it's fucking legal speed. But I would also wake up at nights with a clenched jaw and like locked jaw and stuff like that, grinding my teeth.
Damages you when you're young.
Oh my God. And my parents, God bless them, they waited as long as possible. I didn't have any until I was, I think junior year in high school or something like that, because they wanted to get that shit on me at a very, very young, like elementary.
They want to give it to kids like when they're 5.
Oh no, they were trying to do that when I was literally in like second grade, third grade.
That's so concerning.
Yeah. And my parents fought it tooth and nail. But then in high school, I was an athlete. I was ineligible my freshman year of high school because my grades were so fucking terrible. And they're like, okay, we need to try to figure something out. And so I think at that point they felt like I was developed enough where it's not going to really fuck me up, but
something like that, right?
That's debatable, right? But anyway, did all that kind of stuff, got through college. But then as an adult, I was just, I didn't have it at all. And I could tell I was sluggish. My memory is absolutely terrible, but I'm really seeing a big difference once I started microdosing. Again, I've done it for like a month, right? It's not nearly as long as you've been doing it, but I'm really excited for the future now. I try not to overload. I try to go once, do it, every other day.
Respect the medicine.
Yeah. It's just
medicine will respect you.
Yeah, respect the medicine, exactly. But I did want to ask you. You brought up ayahuasca. Is like microdose? Does it go like microdosing and then ayahuasca? Like, what's the progressive?
What's the trajectory?
There?
Listen, I think that one thing I've learned, I'm not somebody who sat with the medicine a whole whack of times in I've done 6, and there's probably a million better people for you to talk to about this. But I can tell you that, for me, when I was given the opportunity to go with Aya and go sit with the medicine, I had only heard of ayahuasca in like passing. I knew nothing about it, but I was so unwell that when I was given the opportunity, I took it. And so at that point, I had only ever really used cannabis. Before that, I had somebody dose my food when I was in high school with psilocybin, but that was a very negative experience. And I had never done psychedelics since that point. I didn't even smoke weed in high school. I think maybe a couple times, but I was an athlete and that was the focus, and it always had been. And so for me, putting anything like that in my body I wasn't here for it. So I don't know that there needs to be a stepping stone trajectory. For some people, they might feel more comfortable because they're like, okay, well, I've experienced it. I mean, I did enough of it where they felt I'd be comfortable enough going, but I was also very aware that I was stepping so far outside my comfort zone that I was going to get whatever I was going to get, and I was going to have to be there for the ride. But I was so unwell at the time that was fine with me. It didn't matter because nothing else mattered. The only thing that mattered was trying to survive. And when you have a kid and a husband and that's still not enough for you to live, you really got to start thinking about some other things. And so when I got the opportunity, I just said yes. And I'm always very careful to say this too, though, Spencer, and a lot of people, they don't even like to bring it up, but like psychedelics aren't good for everyone. They're not. People who have borderline schizophrenia, bipolar, who are on SSRIs, they can cause serotonin reuptake syndrome during ceremonies, and you can go into a psychosis that you can't come out of. So you have to be very careful with them. But I think there's a path to them if you would like to understand it. There is a path to healing through psychedelics if it's deemed healthy for you. But, sometimes you have to I did the pre-checks with Heroic Hearts and made sure I wasn't on any of the medication and did all of that. But then at some point you yourself have to realize, like, I'm going to either do this or I don't. And so I decided I was going to jump, both full in, dive head first and give myself over. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great to hear. I'm again, and this has only probably been within the last year where I'm like, okay, like I'm open to those things now. I truly do want to, and I think I am on that pathway. I think last time you and I talked, you even said it yourself, you could see me probably benefiting from stuff like that. But, it's respecting the medicine, it's figuring out if it's right for you. But I truly do feel like I want to experience those things to just kind of find more enlightenment, find more peace, so, and I feel like those things in the right setting, like you said, will get you there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk after and make sure that you get what you need for that. But psychedelics are they're the path to healing for trauma. They're the path to healing for a lot of people who are treatment resistant and individuals who have been fed medication their whole lives. I mean, your body's treatment resistant at some point for a reason. It's because it's resisting the shit you're putting in it. And we have to be conscious of that. And, psychedelics, they open the door for a lot of people, and sometimes they only need one sitting. Some people, they want to integrate it to their lives. For me personally, I will be a psychedelic user for the rest of my life. I will be somebody that's proud of it. I will be somebody that supports the medicine and supports the charities and supports the colleges and universities that are willing to put up and study and research. I'm always going to support people that are doing things that are healing. And I think now, having had those experiences on multiple sittings and having the privilege of sitting with ayahuasca, because it is a privilege. Yeah. It is a honor. And anyone who uses it otherwise is out to fucking lunch, because it is an honor. It is a privilege, and it should be treated and respected as such.
No ego, just go in there, just ready to get your ass kicked, pretty much.
If you have an ego, she's going to make that bitch walk right out the door. So don't worry. She'll, if you don't do it, she'll do it for you.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know you're short on time here. I did want to get through a couple other things.
Go for it.
We'll talk a little bit more with Brass and Unity. You've done a beer collab, right? I know you've got other things going on, but the beer collab, and personally, I am a little offended that you didn't think of the boys at all to get some beer down here, but it's fine, whatever.
We're working on it. We're really struggling to get it to you, but we're working on it.
So what was the brewery that you did the collab with?
We did it with the Trading Post. It's this guy here.
Oh, is the Amber. Okay, that was gonna be my next question. That's a dope can. I like the can art there. That's good shit.
Yeah, they did a good job. And then we donated all the proceeds to Honor House there. That's their logo there.
Beautiful. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. They're just about out of it. And we partnered with the Trading Post Brewery. They're amazing people. They do a lot of a ton of charity work in the community, and they're family owned, and they're just, Lance and them saw the opportunity and we're like, hey, I think we should let's try it. And I said, fuck yeah, let's do it. And it went really, really well. I was really happy with the partnership.
That's awesome. No, that looked like it did a really good job. And it sounds like that partnership is a partnership made in heaven right there. It sounds like you linked up real well. Any other things in the works that you can speak on? Or
so we've
top secret.
Well, no, I've got some stuff. So we've got, Brass and Unity is continuing to grow and do a ton of different projects with some organizations that I'll be able to speak on a little later. But we do have a charity event coming up that we are pushing for people to go and either donate or participate with us. It is called the Warrior Angels Foundation. They are out of Texas. They're run by Andrew and Adam Marr. They've been on Rogan about 4 separate times with a doctor named Dr. Mark Gordon. So I recommend going to listen to their episodes a little bit to learn a little bit about them. But Warrior Angel Foundation is throwing this event down in Texas, Houston, Texas, March 4 to 6. It is going to be the 4x4x48, created by Goggins. So we're going to run or ruck or whatever for 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. And then the proceeds are going to benefit towards Vet Solutions, which is a psychedelic organization and charitable organization that's run by Amber and Marcus Capone. Marcus was a SEAL Team 6 door breacher. He found a lot of healing through psychedelics, as well as Heroic Hearts, who I spoke of, that's run by Jesse Gould. And the other donees are SOA, which is Special Operations Associations, and FITOP. Who else are we giving it? I think there's one other organization in there. Sorry, I apologize. They got added in. But for me, Brass and Unity and myself, I'm running it on behalf of Vet Solutions and Heroic Hearts. So we have a link on my link tree. You can go and donate. Our goal is $5,000. So we would like to get there, but I am flying down to go beast myself for charity, pop on a couple different podcasts, and then make my way back up to the communist country of Canada. So I'll be back here. But, and then Brass and Unity, we've got some, we're coming out with this amazing initiative in March called the Buddy Pack System. And it's with our rope bracelets. And what it is when you buy a pack of 3, it prompts you to call a friend, call a buddy, check on them, send them that, have a coffee, have a beer, start a conversation about that person's mental health. Because more than ever right now, we need people caring about each other's mental health in a very, very significant way if we want to stop not only civilian suicide, but the epidemic that has plagued the military and first responders for so long. And so the buddy pack system comes out soon. We launched that. We kind of did a pre-test, that shot show with Vet TV. That went really well. So we're going to be doing some stuff with them down the road. And we've got some other projects, but the book's still well in its works and it's going really well as the other limited series that we're working on with that. having some incredible people on board. So Brass and Unity is just going to keep doing its thing. We moved the podcast to 2 a week. So that's been fun.
Jesus, I don't even know how that's possible, Kelsi.
It's a lot of scheduling and a lot of Black Rifle coffee to keep me awake. Shameless plug. And, we're just growing. We're trying to continue to bring awareness, and we're going to keep doing it, and we're not going to stop. And we're just growing as much as we can in order to keep allowing ourselves to work with these organizations the way that we do. So that's pretty much it for us. Nothing too crazy, nothing too wild right now, but, trucking along in the way that, get it? Trucking along. We're just trucking along, man. We're just trucking along.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, Kelsi, love you mucho. Thank you so much for coming on.
No worries, darling.
You actually come back to the States. We'll do it again. We'll hang out. That's awesome. Well, thank you for everyone listening. If you like what you heard, see a friend, tell a friend. Love you. Long time. We'll catch y'all later. Deuces.